working off of Google Maps, to which we plot the data for the cell phone. It takes a lot of the work out. In the past, when we first started to analyzing cell data, we would have to actually plot the towers ourselves, determine what sector, draw the azimuth. Nowadays, we can just take the cell records and put it into CellHawk. We still have to authenticate it, make sure that the data is being read properly, and then we're able to make our determination or apply the data to our case.
So you mentioned plotting and things like that. Do you use mapping software in your day-to-day work as a detective?
Of course, we just regular Google Maps, Google Earth. It's also a method of open source investigations is using the mapping.
So I'm going to go to October 26th of 2018. Did you have an occasion to become involved in a Miramar Police Department investigation under Miramar case number 18-10-06269?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your role?
I was called out around about 6 o'clock in the morning. Detective Bertrand called me. I was off, was not working. Hector was in his final year and a half of employment, and he didn't want to take on any new cases. He asked me, he said, I have him at the hospital. I have 2 dead bodies. Would you mind coming out? Of course, he said to me, that's fine. So
when you got to the hospital, what did you see?
When I first got on scene, I made contact with the on-scene supervisor, which was Sergeant Bermudez, and he walked me through the scene, which was, at that point, it was just a 2018 Jeep Compass that was parked in the emergency unloading zone. It had many bullet holes on it.
Can you time out for just a second? Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how the emergency room unloading zone is separate and different from other areas of the hospital?
It's a pull-up where it has the doors that it allows you straight access into the emergency room, which all hospitals are relatively standard in that sense, that there's going to be a quick immediate access for hospital personnel to provide immediate care in triage type situations.
Is the emergency room the only entrance into that hospital?
No, you can come, there's an entrance off of Pembroke Road, and there's an entrance off of 172.
And when you came to the scene, do you remember which side you went to first?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The time when you get to the hospital, you talked about speaking with Sergeant Bermudez. Who else did you see on scene?
A couple of the detectives were already there. Detective Bertrand, Detective Toyota was there, and then also a couple of the other sergeants, because we had 2 young males that were deceased, so it prompted a lot of people to be called out to the scene.
Okay. And in terms of civilians, were there any civilians on scene when you got there?
At that point, I wasn't made aware of all the civilians on scene until after we had spoken with Cortland Henry.
Okay. So you mentioned Cortland Henry. Who is that?
Cortland Henry is the driver of the vehicle, and he is also the co-defendant in this case.
And when you made contact with Mr. Henry, where was that?
They had him separate from everyone else. He was in a visiting a room, a treatment room. It was an actual hospital room with a door, not just a sliding shade. It actually was door, window, bed.
When you made contact with Mr. Henry, did you have any knowledge of the surveillance footage from the New Era studio that's been entered into evidence of State 7?
No, ma'am. At that point, I came into it blindly.
So how did you treat Mr. Henry?
He was a victim of a crime.
So the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have already heard the statement that you took. During the course of that statement, what things in that Mr. Henry said started setting off a little bit of alarm bells for you?
The biggest thing is where the crime allegedly had occurred. We were being told it was on Miramar Parkway, just west of Southwest 160, as close to 172 in that area there. But when we had the area walked out, we didn't find any shell casings, didn't find any shards of glass, and the You're in a residential, yes, there is businesses there, but on the south side is residential. As many bullet holes there were, it was in that car, initially I think I saw at least 10, and we didn't get a single phone call.
Okay. So when you were there on scene, did you look at the car that was out there? You said you took at least 10 bullet holes.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you notice any damage to the rims and the tires of the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Henry tell you about like a side swiping of a curb?
He said that when a vehicle pulled up next to him and started shooting, he lowered his position in the vehicle for his safety, and he hit the curb. But there was some front end damage, but you could tell it was older front end damage.
Was that explained during the course of his statement? That's from the prior accident?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
In terms of the way you treated him, what were you taking into account?
He's a victim of a crime. And sometimes when you experience very traumatic situations, you're not going to remember everything. And it's understandable that you're going to be vague sometimes in your facts, and you may come to the area, you may be confused on the location. So our biggest thing was that we knew something happened. We knew it just didn't happen where they said it happened.
Why is it important for a law enforcement officer to know where something happened?
Well, we got to establish venue, which has been for jurisdiction for us to investigate the crime.
Speaking of venue, in what city, county, and state is Memorial Miramar Hospital?
So the city of Miramar, county of Broward, state of Florida.
And at that point, when you're making contact with Cortland Henry, does the name Jamal Devins come up in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any indication that he was in the car told to you at that point?
No, ma'am.
You mentioned at some point in the statement another shooting off of I-95.
Yes, ma'am.
What investigation did you do to see how that was potentially related to this case?
I was able to get a hold of the detective on scene, which is Detective Curcio from Broward Sheriff's Office. I was able to compare notes and discuss and figure out that shooting was definitely not related to our shooting. They even had a weapon left on scene, which was, I believe, an assault-style rifle, and we was able to determine that was not related to us.
In terms of being able to determine if different caliber weapons were used in those two shootings?
And the day I know they made an arrest on that,
Okay.
their facts didn't even match up to our facts.
So going on to potential suspects that Mr. Henry gave you.
Mentioned one name, they may have some beef up from Vero, from some guy named Bentley or something like that, but nothing that we could verify.
And in terms of the beef with Bentley, did he say if it was ended?
Right, I believe his statement said it was taken care of, it was squashed.
With regards to an incident at Walmart, were you informed about a potential suspect there?
Yes, there was an incident a few months back at Walmart. I think one of his statements, he said first the fight took place inside and it was outside. But I guess a necklace was stolen, it was posted online. But it didn't seem that anything really came with that either.
Okay, so Detective Murray, based on your training and experience, have you had the opportunity to respond to various Walmarts across South Florida?
Yes,
Have you done criminal investigations regarding incidents or crimes that have occurred at those Walmarts?
yes.
Based on that, do you know how long Walmart keeps video for?
Traditionally 30 days.
And in terms of the time period that was being described to you, was that within 30 days?
It was way beyond 30 days.
So going back to that morning, did you go with Mr. Henry in the car with Detective Toyota to find out where this incident happened?
Mr. Henry rode with Detective Toyota.
Evidence or anything that was reported back to you as the lead detective in this case that was recovered from the street surface of Miramar Parkway between I-75 and 184th?
There was no evidence recovered at all.
So, knowing that you had this location Are there businesses along Miramar Parkway that have surveillance footage?
Yes,
Were you able to go to some of those and retrieve some of that surveillance footage?
yes,
So I'm gonna start with what's been marked as states quadruple L, which is a composite of 2 photos. Council, you have a copy? Detective Marty, I'm showing you a composite of 2 images which have been labeled as state triple L. Do you recognize those 2 photos?
yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize those 2 photos?
These are snapshots of the video from the McDonald's, the corner of 172 and Miramar Parkway.
And how do you recognize those?
Well, I'm the one that retrieved the video myself personally. But you can see at 3:46 a.m., you see a red vehicle going by, a red SUV. And then at 3:46:57, you see a silver SUV going by, which was consistent with the 2 vehicles.
Well, before we get into that, those photos fairly and accurately depict the video that you took from the McDonald's on October 26th of 2018. Are those 2 screenshots from the video that cover the time frame of this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Have they been altered or changed in any way?
No, ma'am.
All right, this time the state will request some states quadruple L and it states 84.
Objection.
No.
You're admitted.
States quadruple L will be marked states 84.
And permission to publish, Your Honor?
You may.
Starting at states 84, page 1, which is 10/26/2018, 34650.040. Detective Meridian, the screen in front of you is a touch screen. So I'm going to zoom in on the picture a little bit. And can you show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what area of the screen you were talking about?
Right.
If you move, it should show the cursor a little bit better.
Okay.
And so what color did that vehicle appear to be?
Red.
I'm keeping it in the same location. Moving on to page 2, 3465740. Is that same circle around the vehicle that was in question in this photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that appear to be a darker colored vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
At what point did you learn about New Era Studios?
When we spoke with Mr. Henry, he informed us that they just came from the recording studios in Fort Lauderdale. And so detectives then responded there, Detective Bertrand and Detective Toyota, to retrieve the video, or just to go there to see what evidence they could recover.
Okay. Once the video was recovered, did you review it?
Yes, ma'am.
Approximately how far is it from the New Era 805 Northeast 4th Avenue in Fort Lauderdale to the Sunset Lakes 40th Street Guardhouse?
30 miles.
And have you had the opportunity to drive that distance or that route before?
Yes, ma'am.
With regards to the studio video, what's been admitted as state 7, Did you review this before or after the search warrant was conducted on the Jeep?
This was before.
So going to channel 4, 2:17:42, starting time 2:18:40. Were any man purses, satchels found in that gray Jeep?
No, ma'am.
Specifically, the beige one that's pictured at 2:18:40.
No, ma'am, we did not recover that.
Continuing forward to 2:19:05. Was a black satchel recovered?
No, ma'am.
Specifically the one that is seen in the individual in the black and white jacket?
Correct.
Did Mr. Henry have possession of either of those satchels? So after you learn about the studio video, do you have an occasion to respond to a location that's identified as 18521 Southwest 44th Street?
Yes, we went to that before the video was recovered. That was the location where the defendant was residing at the time.
And who else did you know lived there at that time?
I believe the defendant, co-defendant, Mr. Henry, Mr. Mills, Mr. Davis, Mr. Glass. I believe they were all living there, as well as the victims.
And in terms of the location of that address, do you know the name of the subdivision it's in?
I believe that's Sunset Lakes,
And where is Sunset Lakes, what city?
City of Miramar.
When you went to that 18521 Southwest 44th address, did you go inside?
No, ma'am.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what it was like when you first got to that location?
At that point, we had already cleared from the hospital. It was probably, the sun was already coming up, so, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe even a bit later. We went, there was no cars in the driveway. We went to the front door, knocked, looked in the windows, we didn't see anyone.
While you were on scene, did a vehicle pull up?
Yes,
What vehicle was that?
it's the red Mitsubishi.
And who was in that?
Driving it was Dontavius Withers and Adrian Davis.
Did you make contact with them?
Yes,
Without going into what they said, were you able to get a phone number from each of them?
yes,
Did you see the defendant, Jamal Simmons, there at that time?
no, ma'am.
Were you invited into the house?
No, ma'am.
Okay. In terms of the McDonald's video, when time and the continuity of when you did things, when did you go to McDonald's?
I believe that I went to McDonald's a week, this happened on a Friday or Saturday morning, McDonald's Monday morning.
Okay. So I'm gonna go now to, on October 26th, did you do any additional evidence collection or interviewing of any individuals?
On the 26th,
Yes.
no, I just wrote the search warrant for the Jeep.
While you were at the hospital, you mentioned that you didn't see civilians when you first got there.
Correct,
Were there any civilians that you made contact with before you left?
yes.
And who would those be?
There was some of the victim's family there, some of the Phillips family.
No, neither victim has the last name Phillips. You'll have to identify who the.
The Phillips family was with Chris Thomas's family.
Okay.
There was also I didn't make contact with him, Detective Bertrand did, Trayvon Glass, an Andrew, I forget his last name. He was there. I made contact with the defendant's mother, Jamie King.
Okay. And after you left the hospital and made contact with those individuals, did you do anything else other than writing the warrants and executing a warrant on the gray Jeep?
No,
Explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you have to do to write a search warrant.
Search warrant is based upon probable cause. There's an affidavit, like an application, and then there's the actual warrant. We write the warrant, the application is the affidavit, and then we send it to a state attorney. We file when the state attorney is on duty. Hopefully we get the latest one early in the morning because we're up. So we send the warrant to them, they review it, and then if they approve it, then it goes to the judge. The judge will then sign it. At this point, we're doing electronic warrants, so we could submit it electronically.
And in terms of the search of the Jeep, can you start searching it while you're waiting for the judge? Why not?
Because we don't have authorization to go into the Jeep. And we secure it, we take it, we hold it, but until that warrant is signed, we cannot touch that vehicle.
So after the warrant is signed, it's executed, are you present for the execution of that search warrant?
Yes.
What?
I actually have to read the warrant to the vehicle. I know that sounds very strange. It's one of those procedures that's been done for years. I can never explain it, but if it's a house, we have to read it to the house. If it's a vehicle, we read it to the vehicle.
Is that why we see you holding papers with all these warrants?
Yes.
So after you read the warrant aloud and tell the people that are assisting you what you're looking for, what is your role while the warrant's being executed?
I step back. I don't get involved in that process.
Do you collect evidence at that point?
No, ma'am.
Do you indicate which areas may be of interest for evidence collection?
I'll point out that, this is who was sitting where, this is what we have, but, that's their area of expertise.
After that warrant is executed on the gray Jeep, when are you made aware of the casing that's found in the back seat?
That night, when they collected it,
And going forward to October 27th of 2018, did you leave Broward County and travel to meet with other witnesses?
yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
We went up to, Vero Beach, into Gifford to make contact with some of the victims' family.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to, without going into what was said, see Adrian Davis again?
I saw Agent Davis again. We saw Dontavius Withers again. I believe we saw Chris Thomas Sr. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the girlfriend of Chris Thomas as well.
Was there an occasion in which the application Snapchat was brought up?
Yes.
As a result of learning about a Snapchat, did you author a warrant for Snapchat?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you authored the warrant for Snapchat, which has already been admitted into evidence in various states, what were you looking for?
I was looking for communications between Janelle Demons and
What are you going to show?
the communication was supposed to show that Janelle Demons sent a message.
Can we approach? Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to clarify one thing. Prior to trial, I mispronounced the defendant's name. It's pronounced Demons, D-E-M-O-N-S. Lemon's with a D is the way it was explained to me. And I know it's been pronounced different ways here, but it's pronounced Demons. All right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Proceed.
Okay, so going into what's been previously offered into evidence as State 61. The account information, if you could publish what this says and kind of make it as big as possible, as to who owned this particular Snapchat account.
Okay.
You could read.
Yes, this is the display name is Melly Montana, the .com. The phone number is 772-713-9807, and I guess I think they call it the vanity name YNW Melly.
Okay. And is that display name as it's indicated here?
Yes.
In terms of the IP history, did you do any additional investigation or research into the IPs that were provided?
No.
Going into the,
I'm sorry.
Is there objection?
There's no objection, but we need to rest.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. We'll take a short recess. Do not discuss the case. Don't form any opinion about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case in presence. Certainly no research. Just take a note of it under here. Thank you. Thank you. Let the record reflect the jury stepped out. Counsel Mann will the defendant. You need to recommend break? Can you raise it?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dennis?
Yes.
Thank you.
I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, no problem.
I'm going to show you how to clear this.
You apologize for pronouncing his name wrong.
You make everywhere you look has to be predetermined to prove your case and your theme. So the theme here is what?
I think the theme is here that Melly killed two of his best friends growing up, and I think that the forensic evidence was pretty powerful, in terms of them putting the forensics on. It made it hard for me to believe that he wasn't somehow involved. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we know that he was sitting in the seat that we saw him get into on the video when they left the studio. And I thought that, the use of the dowel rods was pretty, that's old school. I think they're using lasers these days, but like the dowel rods, in terms of the angles, it was compelling evidence. I think that I probably would have ended on that with that type of stuff, because if this guy's the last witness, then we're not going to hear that statement that you were talking about from the snaps. And that is ultimately, you are definitely going to hear about that on the defense's case in chief, and you're certainly going to hear about it in the closings.
Yeah, but you know what, Bob? And you know, I've been around trial, so is Steve with the Dow bodies with them. This, and then the shot comes from someplace else, and if the bullet's not found. So I assume the defense is going to go there if they have an expert witness talking about it. But we'll see. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be back to the scintillating testimony in the courtroom as the prosecution seeks to end their case on a strong note. law and crime. I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. Well, we are in the case of Florida versus Jamel Devins. Who is he? YNW Melly, the rapper who has about 10 million view fans on Spotify. People watch him, listen to him, and looking at his trial where he is accused of the double homicide, shooting two of his friends in the YNW Collaborative Network. That's Juvie and Sack Chaser. Well, the prosecution is seeking to close out their case soon by showing that YNW Melly was at the scene of the shooting at the time his friends died by putting his cell phone there, by putting him as the owner of the cell phone and putting the cell phone in his possession. And to do so, they're about to present a number of 50 more photos, 24 videos through their lead detective, that's Mark Moretti. So let's go into court and listen how they do this.
Who is that?
Cortland Henry is the driver of the vehicle. He is also the co-defendant in this case.
And when you made contact with Mr. Henry, where was that?
They had him separate from everyone else. He was in a visiting a room, a treatment room. It was a hospital room with a door, not just a sliding, shade. It actually was door, window, bed.
When you made contact with Mr. Henry, did you have any knowledge of the surveillance footage that's been in from the New Era studio that's been entered into evidence state 7?
No, ma'am. At that point, I came into it blindly.
So how did you treat Mr. Henry?
He was a victim of a crime.
So the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have already heard the statement that you took. During the course of that statement, what things in that Mr. Henry said started setting off a little bit of alarm bells for you?
The biggest thing is where the crime allegedly had occurred. We were being told it was on Miramar Parkway, just west of Southwest 160, as close to 172 in that area there. But when we had the area walked out, we didn't find any shell casings, didn't find any shards of glass, and you're in a residential. Yes, there's businesses there, but on the south side is residential. As many bullet holes there was in that car. Initially, I think I saw at least 10, and we didn't get a single phone call.
Okay. So when you were there on the scene, did you look at the car that was out there? You said you saw at least 10 bullet holes?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you notice any damage to the rims or the tires of the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Henry tell you about like a side swiping of a curb?
He said that when a vehicle pulled up next to him and started shooting, he lowered his position in the vehicle for his safety, and he hit the curb. But there was some front end damage, but you could tell it was older front end damage.
Was that explained during the course of his statement? That's from the prior accident?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
In terms of the way you treated him, what were you taking into account?
He's a victim of a crime. And sometimes when you experience very traumatic situations, you're not going to remember everything. And it's understandable that you're going to be vague sometimes in your facts. And if you're not from the area, you may be confused on the location. So our biggest thing was that we knew something happened. We knew it just didn't happen where they said it happened.
Why is it important for a law enforcement officer to know where something happened?
Well, we got an established venue, which has been for jurisdiction for us to investigate crime.
Speaking of venue, in what city, county, and state is Memorial Miramar Hospital?
Are we entering? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the presence for our jury, the defendant, the judges, the counsel, the assistant state attorneys, all witness protection remarks already remaining on the stand. Bradley, I think you're still under direct examination. If you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, Detective Randy, we had started talking about the Snapchat records. Before we go in and publish the rest of those, in your investigation, were you able to determine nicknames and legal names for various individuals that are involved in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
So starting with the defendant, did he have a nickname that he was commonly referred to as?
The, Melly,
Okay.
Williams,
Hold the microphone, it got pushed away. Thank you.
on Williams' phone, he was known as, Smurf. I'm sorry, on, Williams' phone, he was known as Slim.
Okay.
Some various other names.
So in terms of for Portland Henry, did he have a nickname you learned during the course of this case?
Yes, Portland Henry, actually went by the name of, Ward.
And for Mariah Hamilton, did she have a nickname?
The one most commonly used was Riri.
So in going through the messages, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit on this. Like for example, Friday, November 20th. What is the difference between UTC time and November of 2018 post time change?
It's UTC is Universal Time Code, which is 5 hours ahead of our current time zone.
And that's in November. What about in October? What was the difference before the time change?
It was 4 hours time difference. I think the time change was actual date was November 4th.
Okay. So in terms of this message, there's a lot of kind of gibberish characters at the end after it says, what are those gibberish characters?
Usually those are emojis that when it's printed, that's how it looks on paper.
And so I'm going to make sure we understand, and that clearly to the jury, what these columns each stand for. So starting with the far left column, what is that column?
Is the ID column, I guess the two accounts that are speaking with each other.
Okay. The next column, what is it?
It's the from, that's to be the sender, and then the next column is to, which would be the receiver of the message.
Okay, and then under where it says body,
That is the actual message.
and over here on timestamp, what would that reflect in that last column?
That was in the actual time that the message was sent in UTC, and you would just subtract 5 hours off of that. That's, okay.
I'm not going to make you do the math right now. 26 of 2018. Were there any messages captured as part of the search warrant on October 26, 2018?
No, ma'am.
In terms of the message here on Tuesday, October 23rd, who is identifying themselves as using this Snapchat account?
The name being used is Melly.
So were you able to determine who was that baby 01?
Yes, that was Mariah Hamilton.
How could you tell that?
The context of the conversation between them two, as well as interviewing Miss Hamilton.
Were there pictures that were sent back and forth that also included her photograph in these?
Leading.
Over,
Yes, there was photographs between it as well.
So going to this message here, which is Friday, November 9th, 2023 12 UTC. You should do the subtract 5 math on that one.
What you see there is 2023 UTC, which would be 8:23 UTC PM time. However, but transferring it back to Eastern Standard Time, it would be 3:23 PM.
And what I'm going to do here, so it's clear on the columns again, go back to the first page of the chat. So this message is going to the defendant's account.
Correct.
Okay. What does Ms. Hamilton say to the defendant?
Objection. Document speaks for itself.
If he can.
Like I said before, your stupid ass blocked me. You move very effing funny. TF. We know that name. BITCH, you know what that wasn't tagged on that girl page, but your dumbass just lie about everything. I peep every effing thing, and I always watch how a MF move, and this is how you've gone move, bitch. I'm not going to come around no more, period. Don't post me on your damn Snapchat if you're scared to post me on your Instagram for your bitches, period. TF. And I won't go to another show neither. Be shipped back to the hotel. Everything is so cool. I peep everything. You're one sneaky lying bitch boy. F you. I'm standing on my shit this time. Bet you won't hear from me again after today. And then there's 3 emojis, which doesn't translate when you put it in.
May we approach?
Yes. Council, proceed, please.
Yes. Okay, so we were continuing on. We had just published November 2023-12. So going to 2024-17. We can just stay in UCC, so you don't have to keep doing
Thank you.
the
I'm
next.
sorry, what's the date of that message?
November 9th.
Same objection.
Thank you. Objection notes overruled.
So with regards to, again, using the first page, so it's clear as to who is from and to, the author, this message on 2024-17, who is that from?
It's from Melly, Montana to Dead Baby B01.
Okay. Then the next message, November 9th, 2018, 2025-19, UTC for council?
Judges, may I have a continuing objection so I don't have to interrupt the state on this?
That's fine now.
Thank you. Continuing objection.
Thank you.
And so what does Melly.Montana say to that individual on November 9th of 2018? I'm gonna try and make it big, sorry.
No, that's fine. I just want to read it quickly before use caution. Bish, I'm not fit to leave board with Tao after what you stuck on me being with, but you think that's all I think about. This N-word saved my life. He's coming with a K everywhere with me, cause with a K, if them crackers come grab him, it's my fault. You forgot 3 question marks.
So then I'm gonna go, so it's clear. The messages chronologically, how do they go in this exhibit?
They go by the time frame, but you can see it's a sequential argument between 2 individuals, the same individuals.
So let me ask you a better question. The message here below, it says 2025-39, is the message that's above it at 2027-26 prior to or after?
Is after.
So in terms of reading the sequence, do you go from the bottom of the page up?
From the bottom up.
Okay. The next message, again, November 9th, 2025, 39 UTC from Melly.Montana to that baby message. What does it say?
Dumbass ho, you so selfish and young-minded, don't even think about what I'm going through.
Okay, and then moving on to the message from this November 9th, 2027 UTC. 2018.
Fuck ass ho, you don't, FWN, which means fuck with me anyways, you just use me like the rest to do keep all that shit ho on God, on my mama. He was on her shit.
Okay. So, continue on to the next message from Melly, Montana, and this one is November 9th, 2027, 20 And that message here from Melly, Montana, what does one say?
You know I don't want Fort Brown, yay, like that stupid asshole.
The next message, which is then 23 from
Shit deeper than just bitches.
so continuing up, moving on to Friday, November 9th, 2029, 20 UTC, 2018. Message from Melly, Montana to, again, that baby. What does that one say?
You don't fuck with me anyways. I peeped it. You can slide, but God knows I wasn't in her shit. N-word will end real dumb. breaking your shit, you spoiled everything was given to you, you bitch, you act like a N-word, oh some bitch slide. I keep Orton with cuz at the end of the day, he did one of the realest shit in my life.
Okay. So argument continues on, so you described it. So the response to that from that baby to Melly Montana, which is on 20/30/26, Friday, November 9th, 2018. What is her response?
Oh, I am. Stop messaging. There's nothing else to say. Still peep everything, hun, and I says it's fine.
The response from Melly Montana on Friday, November 9th,
I
2030.
try to pre-read to make sure,
Yes.
cautious what I say. I'm gonna keep him with me. He ain't never say half the shit you said. I put you way before him at 1%. None, bitch, stay away. You don't love nobody. For real, you heartless. I see it, bitch. Stay away, ho. You just want to break a N-word.
So going up to Friday, November 9th, 2031, UTC. Again, the from column, Melly Montana. What does it state?
But you
Sorry. No.
dropped 5
My apologies, sorry. At the top.
and the end. Never mind.
So then the response from that baby on Friday, November 9th at 2018, 2032-05 UTC.
She responded, "Kill me," with a question mark with some emojis that were unreadable.
Okay. So after you reviewed this, and you weren't able to confirm or deny anything about a Snapchat communication November 26th, 2018, what was the next step in your investigation on, let's see, so that was October 27th, we talked about in Vero Beach. I want to go to October 29th of 2018. What did you do in terms of search warrants on cell phone data?
I authored once, one to Sprint, one to T-Mobile. The Sprint one was to Dontavius Withers' cell phone, as well as one of the victims, Chris Thomas's.
Okay.
And then the other search warrant was for the phone of the defendant. as well.
Objection,
What's the objection?
cause for hearsay. And they have not established a predicate that it's in fact our client's cell phone.
Why don't you come sidewalk?
So Detective Moretti, you indicated that you had done a search warrant to T-Mobile. Is that for the 772-713-9807 phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that also done for a 954-248-9801 number?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that the correct number on the 9801?
The second time, yes.
Okay. So explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what it means when you transpose the digit.
When I originally authored the warrant, I transposed the cell phone number for Anthony Williams. I transposed the last two digits, so the data came back, it was wrong.
Were you able to catch that mistake and fix it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I make mistakes, I'll continue to make mistakes, not perfect, never said I was.
Okay. So once you, on October 29th, you analyze you do the warrants for the cell phone data.
Yes.
Do you get it right away like that?
No.
Okay. Explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury when you first got some of that data back.
We first, at the time, Sprint and T-Mobile were two separate entities. They have now since combined. We traditionally got Sprint back quicker. You got a week, it took about 2 weeks for the other number, got for the T-Mobile providers. So when we first got the Sprint records back, at the time, Sprint just wasn't as accurate as T-Mobile was.
Okay. In terms of, do you mean accurate or precise?
More precise. I mean, T-Mobile has the true timing advance, which at the time Sprint was using for call measurement data, but we get call measurement data, which is distance and angle from the tower to the device, which is just estimated.
So when you get the Sprint data, do you have any idea of how far away a particular device may have been from the tower?
At that time, no.
In terms of what information were you able to glean from the Sprint data as to where you need to start looking for your next potential lead?
It took us out to US 27 because the cell phone for Promise hit on a tower out on US 27 near Holiday Park, and that's where we started our.
So tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when you went out to US 27, when you first got the Sprint records, what did you do?
I plotted it, analyzed the data. It took us out to US 27. Detective Bertrand and I actually walked 2 miles of US 27 looking for anything, shards of glass, spent casings. We weren't near the crime scene at that point. We tried to, we went into the mobile home park, come across some people, never heard gunfire that night, didn't see anyone out there, not the vehicles, nothing.
Okay. So in terms of about what date was this that you were out walking on US 27?
It was about the first week of November, November 7th or 9th, something like that.
Okay. So once you obtain the T-Mobile records, how does that refocus your investigation?
It was able to dial it in a little more vivid. It was able to direct us out to US 27 in Pembroke.
Okay. When you first get the T-Mobile records, do you go through and verify and see some of the known locations? For example, the studio.
Yes.
So in terms of the T-Mobile records, I want to draw your attention to, and if I can find the Smith, these are kind of the T-Mobile records, which are in State 63. So Detective Moretti, when you're looking at the information in the T-Mobile records, and I'm going to start by pulling up the 772-7103 records. So I'm going to publish part of State's 63, which has been previously admitted into evidence. We're going to go to 205-8127 records, the timing advance LTE. So going
This is for which phone number?
772-713-9807. That's right up there at the top in tiny print.
Oh, okay.
So I want to go down for times on this one to 3:18 a.m. AM, there's a latitude and a longitude that is listed on that particular item.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you, at that point, verify the studio video versus where that latitude and longitude is showing the network thinks the phone is?
It was, yes, it was within a block of the studio.
And has that been reduced to a map
Yes, ma'am.
showing defense counsel what's been marked as state quadruple M, what's been previously shown to defense counsel, all of these maps before he came in? Okay, Detective Moretti, I'm showing you it's been labeled as state's quadruple M. Do you recognize this? I'm sure it's George's, yeah.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize this?
That is the map, Google map of the area where the recording studio is at.
Does this Google map fairly and accurately depict the latitude and longitude coordinate here at 318? 26.313371
Yes, ma'am.
and negative 80.38733.
Yes, ma'am.
Any alterations or deletions?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time the state will request no states quadruple M in as state 85.
Can I have a diagram, please?
Sure.
Objection. You're more than welcome.
Detective, this is dealing with cell phone analysis, correct? Probably can get up. Primarily, Cell Hawk and Cell Bright.
So, two different devices. Cellbrite is for the digital, and Cell used to plot the actual CDRs in timing advance records.
And how many hours have you taken in training in those two areas?
The cell phones and
The Cell Hawk and Cell Bright?
probably well over 100 hours.
Okay, and have you received any certifications?
Certification from Cellhawk as well as from CASFIS, which is what the FBI uses.
And have you ever trained other officers or supervised other people in digital forensic analysis?
On digital forensic analysis, no. Cell sites, yes.
And is there a particular process you follow when you conduct a cellular forensic examination?
You mean when we take data from the
Yeah.
cellular device?
Yeah.
Once you,
Objection outside the scope, Your Honor. We're not talking about the device yet.
I'm sorry, Bob, second. Quiet, please. Yes, sir.
You're reading merely off this chart, the latitude and longitude, is that correct?
Correct.
You don't know how this was printed, in other words, how they determined the latitude and longitude.
How T-Mobile?
Yes.
No, I do not know how they produce it.
I renew my objection.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. Objection notes overruled. Proceed.
So Detective Moretti at this point, or sorry, Your State offers states quadruple M as states 85.
Any additional objections, counsel?
No, sir.
Objection notes overruled.
States quadruple M will be more states 80.
Okay. Permission to publish?
You may.
And so Detective Moretti, this isn't. I have the back of it shows the latitude and longitude on here, but that covers up quite a bit of the map. So after you have an opportunity to publish this and just switch it to the other side, which then just has the indication of the marker.
Okay, it's fine now.
So Moretti, in terms of the address that's previously been testified as 805 Northeast 4th Avenue. Where was that determined to be on this map? And you can, okay, is it drawing on there?
I'll get it.
And so did you personally go out to that location at various times during the course of this investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to go forward now. After you looked at that particular coordinate, I want to go to 335. Which is on this particular CDR, again, states 63 previously in evidence, line 127 of the 7727139807.
Yes, sir.
And previously shown to the defense counsel, marked as state quadruple N.
I'm wise. One question. Okay. With the court's permission, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You're merely reading off this bill or this chart, correct?
Correct, sir.
You don't know how it was derived.
No, sir.
Same objection.
So, Detective, I'm showing you what's been previously marked as state quadruple N for identification purposes only.
It recognizes.
And then going back to the state quadruple N, fairly accurately depicts the latitude of 26.116584, latitude of negative 80.324128.
Yes, ma'am.
And does this fairly accurately depict the location of that on this map?
Yes, ma'am.
Here at this time, the state would move state quadruple N as state 86.
Any objection?
Same objection.
Thank you. Objection notes overruled. It'll be admitted.
Thank you.
States quadruple N will be marked states 86.
Detective Moretti, again, showing you first the coordinate with the latitude and longitude. And if, once you're able to kind of familiarize yourself with that, I will flip it over to the other side.
You can flip it.
Okay. And here on states 86, can you show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where the whole camera is in the express lanes in this photo approximately? Sorry. And Detective Moretti, did you obtain camera footage from the Department of Transportation to cover this time of 3:35 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to continue forward now in your investigation to 3:47 a.m. Line 136 on this particular CDR for 772-713-9807.
What line? 136, you said?
136. Detective, I'm showing you what's been previously marked and shown to defense counsel as states quadruple O for identification purposes only. Do you recognize states accurately depict the latitude of 25.977994 and the longitude of -80.374577 as depicted on line 136? And at this time, the state would request to move states quadruple O in and publish.
May I ask the same question?
Flores?
You're just reading from that document, correct?
Yes, sir.
That you did not create, correct?
Correct.
And you have no idea how it was created?
Correct.
Stay.
Objection.
Notes overruled.
Okay, so publishing what is now states 87. Travis? 87?
87.
87.
Quadruple O will be marked states 87.
So Detective Moretti, in terms of the location of this particular pin or GPS marker, are you familiar with the city it's in?
This is in the city of Miramar. This is Miramar Parkway and 172.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over on the other side. It's located at the corner of 172nd Avenue and Miramar Parkway.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please point that out for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury by circling it? And in terms of the photos that were previously introduced as states 82, are those from that same account?
Yes, ma'am.
So Detective Moretti, I want to go forward during your investigation and go to what time has been listed as 3:53 a.m. That is line 145 of the 772-713-9807 CDR for defense counsel. Showing what's been previously marked as states quadruple P and shown to defense counsel prior to this afternoon's court session. Detective Moretti, do you recognize states quadruple P?
Yes, it's Pines Boulevard.
And does the latitude and longitude of 26.007627 and -80.411552 fairly and accurately depict the latitude and longitude on line 145 with the CDR in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the state would request to move into evidence as state quadruple P, the state's 88.
Any objection?
Same objection, and I would be asking the same questions, which we all know would be his answers.
Any objection, no, it's over. It'll be admitted.
Okay.
It's quadruple P mark states 80. So 88.
88, thank you. So publishing states 88. Detective Moretti, in terms of the location that we're looking at right here, where is this, once you have this GPS pin?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and flip over to the other side. Again, the same map, just without the details on it.
You want me to identify the Monastery School or just identify the GPS coordinates?
You read my mind. Montessori Academy. Did you obtain video from the Montessori Academy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here, at this time, the state would request to publish what's been previously admitted into evidence as states 80.
I'm sorry, which is the 80 or 82?
82. Ms. Smith has heard that.
Yes, you may. It's in evidence.
I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the other computer. It tends to work a little bit better. Detective Moretti, is this the footage you obtained from the Montessori Academy?
Yes, ma'am.
And so starting at 3:52, or 3:53, my apologies, I'm gonna publish from 3:53 through 4:20. Detective Moretti, based on your familiarity with this area and this location, the video that says US Tower East View, what direction, cardinal direction does it face?
It's capturing vehicles going westbound.
And the bottom, the US West parking, what road is it facing in what direction?
Is still facing Hines Boulevard, it's facing west. And it would actually capture vehicles going east and west, but it's more focused on vehicles going eastbound.
Okay. And so when you say more focused on vehicles going eastbound, you mean closer to the camera, would be that's the.
Yes, closer to the camera.
Detective Reddy, in reviewing this footage at 4:06, was there a dark colored vehicle traveling westbound?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a red vehicle traveling westbound in connection with
East or west, no red vehicle was traveling.
and that was at 3:53 as well?
353 as well as 406, there was just the one solo vehicle traveling by itself.
Okay, that concludes publishing through 4:20 a.m. So going back to our 772-713-9807 CDR. We had just talked about 3:53 a.m. in line 145. I want to skip ahead to 406, and we'll come back to 403 in just a minute. So 406 is here in line 156. That's been labeled as states quadruple Q for identification purposes. It's previously noted by the council. Detective Marty, I'm showing you it's been marked as states triple Q for identification purposes only. Straight states triple Q, what is that?
This is Pine Boulevard and 196 Avenue.
Okay, so is the latitude and longitude reflected on states triple Q 26.010021 and negative 80.4088939
Yes, ma'am.
accurately reflect the line 156 of the CDR we've been looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
And does that point on the map accurately and fairly depict where that location is in the world?
Yes, ma'am.
Here at this time, the state would request to move states quadruple Q in as states 89.
Any objection?
I know it's shocking, but the same objection.
Okay, noted, overruled. To be admitted.
And permission to publish?
You may-
Okay, and Detective, this is a 4:06 a.m. If you would be so kind as to show the Montessori Academy again. So I want to go back now to 4:03 a.m., which is highlighted in line 154 of this CDR for attending advance from T-Mobile for 772-713-9807. Do you know how the environment data is done on this CDR?
Are you asking how T-Mobile produces it?
Yes.
Basically, it's from what it's determining or it's interpreting the location of the phone based upon its environment. And it either says mobile, outdoor stationary,
Objection. May we approach?
Yes. I need a few minutes with the attorneys. Don't discuss the case. Don't form any opinion about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case. Register no research, no heads on your chair. Thank you. Sure, we're in recess for a minute. Mr. Devens, need a restroom break?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Range up one. Thank you. We're in recess. The attorneys, the witnesses on the stand, and the jury's in the jury room. So, counsel, why don't you go step by step and just explain what we're doing?
Sure. What I have also is an additional item from State 63 on the screen, Your Honor. This is the definitions page provided by T-Mobile and was introduced as part of the records in this case, where it explains exactly what each column means. And then here, for example, column 5, environment, indicates whether the call was determined to be indoor, mobile, or outdoor stationary.
Okay. So, as to what the witness is going to say about the new coordinates here, I think you said it was at 4:03 a.m. on phone 9807. The last four digits.
Yes, sir.
And indication where it's going to be at.
Location is going to be at Pembroke Road in US 27,
And
approximately 100 meters, 100 feet.
The 9807 number was 400 feet from the crime scene, and Anthony Williams' phone was 100 meters from the scene.
And you're saying that, going back to the first exhibit you had on the location there, you are saying that on one of these lines basically indicates,
Yes, Your Honor.
under environment, line 5,
154, which is the coordinate that I just showed you, what's been marked as state's quadruple R for identification, the Pembroke Road in US 27. That is the outdoor stationary notification. T-Mobile network saying escalation.
and your objection is?
Our objection is that the FBI agent, Brendan Collins testified that not only can he not give an accurate location, but cannot tell and does not use the environment as absolutely unreliable. And the reason they brought in the FBI agent, so the court knows later down the line, and listed him and brought him in late in the case, several years, I believe, later, is because they realized that the individual, specifically this detective, was not qualified to testify to the sole purpose of adding him late in the game and making us take his deposition rather late in the game. I mean, that's what the FBI agent testified. The environment is absolutely unreliable. He doesn't even know how it works. And they never, ever use it in any jurisdiction that the FBI is working on. And the mere fact that that prints, whatever it prints, means nothing.
Judge, could I ask for 5 minutes just to find in the transcripts where he did it so I can direct the court directly to where the FBI agent testified, not only in trial?
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
Can we be in recess during that period of time?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, is there anything else you want to share with me, Ms. Brown?
No, Your Honor, not at this point.
All right, so we'll be in recess. You show me what you're talking about in the transcript of the Brendan Collins.
Thank you, Judge.
I think so, but I think what Natalie said is true. I mean, I think there's shifting loyalties here. It's sort of we're dancing around something, but we don't exactly see what it is. And so because of that, there's still room to argue it both ways.
All right, it remains to be seen what happens next, but we're going to find out at the top of the hour. I do want to thank Dr. Bulber for joining us. Great analysis. And Natalie, you're going to stick around here with me. We're going to take a quick break here on Law and Crime, but much more ahead down in Florida as more of the YNW Melly trial continues. Stay with us.
Did you find it yet, Council?
Judge, not specifically on that point. I know I did ask once to see from the deposition.
Agent Brendan Collins from the FBI testified. He did indicate that he said he can testify to records are consistent with time and date are critical. He goes on a host of things that he was discussing, but when it came to environmental issues, he said it can affect the calculation meters, not miles, small deviation.
Your Honor, I think that was in regards to foliage,
Testing, 1, 2.
meteorological issues and things like that. That was the environment. In terms of this particular on the environment data for column, my recollection is that this was not asked on cross by Ms. Liberty, but that he said he does not rely upon this in doing his calculations.
Testing,
However,
1, 2.
You could look at other collateral sources and corroborate whether this was or was not accurate.
Your Honor, may I? The mere fact that this is burden shifting. The burden is on the proponent of the evidence to establish its authenticity and that it is what it purports to be. The mere fact that the state is saying that the defense hasn't showed that it's not reliable is in fact an admission that the state has not shown that it is. And the only evidence that they're pointing to is a hearsay out-of-court statement by somebody at T-Mobile purporting to describe how it works and not even giving any indication as to the reliability of that that is pertinent to our objection here, which is how are you telling whether the person is inside or outside? I have one of these apps to track my daughter's movement. She's 2 blocks down the road at a friend. It's saying that she's at the house. So this whole notion, 1, that it is precise, and 2, that it can tell with specificity and reliability sufficient for a jury to rely upon it in a murder case, that you are inside or outside when they have no expert laying that predicate. And it is required of them to do so before attempting through this witness to muscling that information under the guise of it being accurate when it in fact is not, And if they had a witness who could establish that it was, one, they should find that witness, and two, they should present it before trying to present this information. They can't just say, well, the T-Mobile records say it. Because one, it doesn't say it. And two, even if it did say it, it doesn't establish its reliability.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, you're right.
Council, respectfully, I don't really objection. It appears to me that that's all filed for cross-examination. This is all part of the document that's in evidence. The document says what it says, and so objection notice overruled. Can we get the jury back in?
Jurors entering.
If you think Melly is guilty and the jury will find him as such, type 1 in the chat. If you think he is innocent and the jury will find him as such, type 2 in the chat.
The record once again reflects the presence of our jury, the defendant, Mr. Dennis, his counsel, the state attorney, the witness remains on the stand. Counsel, if you would proceed, please.
Thank you. Okay. So, to line 150, the environment column under D, what does it say?
Outdoor stationary.
So now approaching with what's been marked as state quadruple R for identification purposes and previously shown to defense. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
Does state quadruple R fairly like 993.063 and negative 80.428081?
Yes, sir.
And is that an accurate location as to where that GPS point is in the world?
Yes, sir.
And at this time, the state would request to move into evidence state quadruple R as state 90.
Any objection? Previously raised.
R will be marked states 90.
So Detective Moretti, I want to go here to the publishing bearings on this. This point from the 9807 phone. I'm going to switch over to the other side at 4:03 a.m. What area does this depict?
This is the actual crime scene on US 27 Pembroke Road.
And approximately where along Pembroke Road on this map were those casings discovered?
It was on the south side of the road, about 820 meters from US 27. 820 feet from US 27, and approximately where the GPS coordinate is at.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the next point in the map. I'm going to find that into its home. So going forward now to 442. On 180 for defense counsel, showing what's been previously marked as states quadruple S and shown to defense counsel prior for identification purposes only. Showing you states triple S, quadruple S for identification. Detective Marty, do you recognize that?
It is Pembroke Road and Southwest 178 Avenue, which is in our jurisdiction of Miramar.
Does the latitude 25.9899873 and longitude negative 80.386462 fairly accurately depict 277 cell phone records?
Yes, ma'am.
Here at this time, the state would request to move states quadruple S in and publish for the jury.
Same objection.
Overruled. Independent.
States quadruple S, looking up states 91.
Okay. So Detective Marty, first showing with the information on the back. And publishing. So,
It's a subdevelopment. It's called Silver Lakes within the city of Miramar. Area we're looking at is south of Pembroke Road,
and you said it's a development. Is that commercial or residential?
residential development.
And so this was 4:42 a.m. Going forward, showing what's been marked as state quadruple T. It's been previously shown to defense counsel on that for identification purposes only, as well as approaching with states 71. Defense counsel on state 71. State 71, page 20. First, showing you as part of State 71, page 20. In blue, there is an address in that message. Can you read that address aloud?
3220 Southwest 192nd Avenue, Miramar, Florida 33029.
And in terms of showing you now what's been marked as state quadruple T for identification purposes only. I'll show you all of the exhibit first and then ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
So Detective Moretti, I'm going to go forward now to 8:46 a.m. Which is reflected on line 3. The states, what's been marked for identification as states quadruple T, fairly and accurately identify the latitude and longitude of 25.977759 and negative 80.405479 on the blue dot.
Yes, ma'am.
Does states what's been marked as for identification as states quadruple T fairly and accurately identify the location of 3220 Southwest 192nd Avenue, Miramar, Florida, on that map?
Yes, ma'am.
And do those fairly and accurately depict those locations in Miramar, Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
Here at this time, the state would request to move in states quadruple T, states 92.
Same objection?
Same objection.
Overruled. It'll be admitted.
States quadruple T will be marked states 92.
So I'm gonna take back states 71 again. And publishing for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the address that you just read aloud. And Detective Marty, if you'd be so kind as to say the date and time that address and message were sent and read.
It was, let's see, it was read, sent on 4:45, 4:46 a.m. and actually, okay, it was sent on 10/26/2018 at 4:45, 46 a.m. and it was read on 4:45, 50 a.m.
Okay. So now going to states 92. First showing that same address. And so it's clear for the record, the address on this map is indicated by what color pinpoint?
Green.
Okay. Going now to the latitude and longitude that we previously discussed.
And it is blue.
And so now taking without the okay. Detective Moretti, in terms of the address that we just talked about, that 3220 address, what subdevelopment was that located in?
That was in Sunset Lakes.
Is that the same subdivision as that 18541 address we talked about earlier today?
It's the same development, but not the actual same sub-community.
Approximately how far apart are they?
They're about maybe less than a mile apart.
After you reviewed these coordinates and had some idea of a path of travel and location, did you go and try and locate any other surveillance footage that would be useful in the presentation of this case?
We got the video from the turnpike, from 595.
Okay.
We got the video from the McDonald's. There was a video from the Monastery School. We were on US 27 looking for video, which we did not recover any.
Okay. In terms of the cameras on US 27, what did you learn about those?
It was much to our surprise that those cameras do not record.
And so the initial date of when you obtained the T-Mobile records, do you recall what date that was?
I believe it was, the initial records was the 9th of November.
Okay. So after November 9th, you obtained the Montessori School footage?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to getting those T-Mobile records, did you have any indication that Pines Boulevard was an area where you should be looking for video surveillance?
Prior to the T-Mobile records?
Prior to the T-Mobile?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So after you got the T-Mobile, did you look for other video on Pines Boulevard or assign someone to do so on the east side of 172nd?
Yes, ma'am.
Were they successful in obtaining any footage?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Going forward on November 21st, did you have the opportunity to respond out to the location of Pembroke Road and US 27?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury a little bit of the geography of that location?
It's an isolated road in the Everglades off of US 27. There's not a lot out there. There's a waste management dump. It's not well lit. Travel in the middle of the night. It's dark. The roads aren't identified. No street lamps. It's a very desolate place in the middle of the Everglades.
In terms of when you were getting there on the west side of US 27, what terrain features are there?
On the west side of US 27 is a canal that runs north and south, and that is, marshy swamp areas.
Okay. To get on going now, describe to ladies and gentlemen of the jury, 208th Avenue. Where does that road run?
It runs north and south. It connects Pembroke Road to Pine Boulevard. However, on each side, north and south, there is a gate that prohibits any travel.
Okay. Do you know what is located on that street as to why it is?
A fire training academy is located up there.
And what jurisdiction is between Pines and Pembroke Road?
Their jurisdiction, Pembroke Pines jurisdiction starts in the middle of Pembroke Road. We have the south side of Pembroke Road, they have the north side of Pembroke Road, and the line in between, the yellow line in between divides our two cities.
Okay. So now you talked about, so on US 27 going now from west to east on Pembroke Road. What's on either side of the road?
On Pembroke Road, it's marshy swamp area. There's absolutely nothing there.
When you get to the far eastern edge of Pembroke Road, when you access it from US 27, is that open to the public?
No, it's a closed area because of the waste management dump out there. And it doesn't even connect all the way through. It goes maybe another quarter mile in, and then it's the entrance to the dump, and that's it.
Okay. Is there a gate at the entrance to the waste management facility?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there an additional gate at the far western end of Pembroke Road? Or, I'm sorry, the eastern end of the western part?
Yes,
Would it be more helpful if I showed you a map to describe these?
yes, ma'am.
Showing defense counsel what's been previously marked as states quadruple U. Detective Ready, I'm showing you what's been previously marked as states quadruple U. So don't trust the jury just yet. Do you recognize that map?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that map fairly and accurately depict the geographical location you just described?
Yes, ma'am.
Here at this time, the state would request to move state quadruple U in as states 93.
Any objection?
No.
It's admitted. What's the number, Travis?
93.
Thank you.
Okay, Detective Marty, I'm going to put this up here to publish. And so we're going to start over here on US. Could you on the map and pointer? Take your pick.
If I use the pointer.
Could you indicate that canal that you indicated on the west side of US 27?
You're going north and south, running parallel with US 27 Canal Road.
Okay, so I'm going to move this over a little bit. I'm going now to show the 208th Avenue. Can you show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where the gate is on the south end of 208th Avenue?
There's a gate right.
Okay. And will you show the gate at the eastern edge of the part of Pembroke Road as to where traffic is stopped?
Repeat that again?
Can you show the gate at the eastern edge of the western part of Pembroke Road?
Where about here?
And in terms of the waste management facility, is that indicated and shown on this map?
Yes, ma'am.
And where is that?
Right where it says waste management.
And in terms of the access to that, is there a gate for there as well? Sorry, move it up.
That is actually, where about
Resume your seat. Detective, did you have an opportunity with the Broward Sheriff's Office Aviation Unit to travel from the studio at 805 Northeast 4th Avenue to Pembroke Road and US 27 via helicopter?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a video of that flight captured?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the points of travel that you referred to from the call detail records and the timing advance records you're coming from?
Yes, ma'am.
So I also want to talk about, did you have an occasion at approximately 3:20 in the morning to go to 805 Northeast 4th Avenue in a vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you then travel from that location across 595 to I-75 Miramar Parkway and then out to the location of Pembroke Road and US 27?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that filmed with video to fairly and accurately show the conditions at 4 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm showing defense counsel what's been previously marked as quadruple J for aviation and states quadruple K. Okay. Detective Murray, approaching and showing you what's been previously marked for identification purposes only. It states quadruple J and quadruple K. Do you recognize those items?
Yes, my initials and badge numbers on it.
Did you have an opportunity to review those before you came in here to testify today?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they fairly and accurately depict the flight from 805 Northeast 4th Avenue to the location, and as well as the dark condition driving?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would request to move in states quadruple J and states quadruple K at states 95.
Can I ask one or two questions?
Yes,
And do it from here.
sure.
I'm getting tired. What day did you do the helicopter trip?
Maybe about a month ago, I don't know the exact date, it would be on the video.
I'm sorry, a month ago?
About a month ago, sir.
2023?
Yes, sir.
So that would be June of 23,
Yes, sir.
while we were in trial,
No, it was good before the trial started.
picking a jury.
I don't know, sir.
Okay, June of 23.
No, this is going to sound like false objection.
Well, it's to the predicate. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No problem. Two of us can't talk at one time, but in any event, proceed, Councilman.
The nighttime driving at 3:20, you said,
3:20 in the morning, yes, sir.
what day did you do that?
It's probably about maybe 3 or 4 months ago,
So that would have been in
maybe April.
April of 23?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at any of the conditions, whether or not there were any accidents in 19, 18 when this occurred?
No, sir.
Did you look at whether or not the weather conditions were the same as when you went out in June and April of this year?
No, sir.
Objection on predicate, foundation and relevancy.
Done? Are you done?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Can I see sidebar, please?
Detective Moretti, I want to go back in terms of the weather conditions of October of terms of, are there any storms?
There's no storms, man.
And how do you know?
Because we were outside most of the day.
Okay. And when you did the drive at nighttime, is there anything that would help refresh your recollection as to exactly when that was done?
We did the video, actually.
Okay.
The video should have a timestamp on it, as well as, I think I produced a timeline for you as well. And a report from the crime scene technician who filmed it,
Okay, and that was with Miss.
Miss Carroll.
And do you have notes as to the time frame in which you did that video with you today? Or is that reflected in a report?
I'm not sure if I have those notes with me now.
So let me go ahead and what I can do is I can show you the video. I'll take it off of the computer here. Did you select a time and date to do the video so it would be the same in terms of the daylight savings time and the lighting conditions on that day?
We did it at the same exact time as the incident.
Okay. And so I'm going to show you what it is. Marked for identification as states quadruple K. And looking on the date of the video creation, does that refresh your recollection as to when it was done?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that done?
That was March 10th, 2022 at 3 a.m.
And in terms of the weather conditions on March of 2022, were they the same or substantially similar to that of October 26th of 2018?
Substantially similar.
In terms of the lighting conditions, were they the same or substantially similar at the locations at US 27 as they were in 2018?
Substantially similar.
Have there been any additional lighting or streetlights installed?
No, ma'am.
Have there been any removed from the location of Pembroke Road and US 27?
No, ma'am.
Does that video fairly and accurately depict how US 27 and Pembroke Road looked in both 2022 as well as 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
Has there been any development?
No, ma'am.
Any additional buildings?
No, ma'am.
Any additional businesses or anything for that matter?
No, ma'am.
Here at this time, the state would renew the state's motion to move in state's quadruple K into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, same objection.
Objection, no, it's overruled.
Okay, and then with regards to state's quadruple, I'm sorry, that was state's quadruple K.
Excuse me one second. What's the exhibit going to be? Okay. Quadruple K, I'm sorry.
Quadruple K will be states 94.
94 and evidence.
And with regards to state's quadruple J, I'm gonna show you that one now. And you previously looked at these?
Yes, ma'am.
In terms of the lighting conditions in state's quadruple J. I'm sorry, state's quadruple K. Travis, I think I mixed them up a little.
Excuse me one second, guys. Can you show the exhibits to Travis, both of them, wherever's been marked?
I didn't put the numbers on them, so I didn't make them switch with the. Was that state's quadruple J, actually, that I just published the night 10 drive?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So correct, please.
So states quadruple
J.
J will be states
Okay.
94.
Thank you.
So showing now
Excuse me, is that the flyby or the drive-by?
driver.
Drive.
So in looking at what has been marked now as states quadruple K for identification, is the lighting conditions the same
No, ma'am.
in terms of being able to accurately show the path of travel as determined? Is this the most efficient way of doing it?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
In terms of doing this on a nighttime drive on that? Were there changed road conditions?
The reason we filmed this during the day was because of the lighting conditions, makes it more visible. The recording studio is no longer there. When we did the actual nighttime drive, there was construction on 595 and 95, so we had to divert. We didn't start. We had to extend the recording a little bit. So
in terms of the recording that is in right now is states 94 from the exit of Miramar Parkway and I-75 to Pembroke Road and US 27, is that fairly accurately fixed?
yes, that is that.
So in terms of showing the actual road travel, how does the flyover show that better than trying to drive?
It's a more accurate depiction because it's at night. You can see it a lot easier. The construction is no longer on 95 and 595, so it clearly depicts the path that was taken that night.
Was there construction on October 26th of 2018 on those areas?
Not to my knowledge.
Here, at this time, the state would renew its motion to put states quadruple K in as states 95.
Objection on relevancy, predicate, foundation.
Thank you. Objections, notice overruled. It'll be admitted.
So states quadruple K will be states 95.
95. Perfect. Okay. So I will start with publishing states 95. So Detective Reddy, if you could please point out what we are looking at here first. Oh, the lights, please, Chuck.
Right here is the where the recording studio used to be.
And so at the top of the screen, is there a compass which indicates the heading?
Yes, right there. And then this is Flagler Street, which goes up to Sunrise Boulevard. And then this is Sunrise here. And you would make a left, which then would head west on Sunrise Boulevard. Take Sunrise west to 95. As you see on right.
Detective Reddy, when you did the drive of this, it took approximately how many minutes to get from the studio to Miramar Parkway?
Probably about 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes, something like that. And this is the 95 ramp here.
And so which direction is the helicopter that you're in traveling now?
We are moving south now.
Get to Broward Boulevard at that exit leading to Cape Police.
We took 95 down to 595.
Understood, and just for purposes of keeping reference to where it is, are you for Broward Boulevard and the other locations? Was that Broward that was just passed?
I believe so.
So where is the helicopter traveling now at this point?
We are turning west onto 595. That would be the turnpike entrance. Still on 595 heading west.
And just so it's clear, you can indicate which road is the pointer on the big screen, so everybody can see which road you're following.
We're still on 595.
And just check right, I think the next thing I'm gonna ask you to indicate to listeners on is when the express lane toll booth is shown, that we watch it from.
Any closer to 75.
Detective Running, and ask you go back to your Air Force days. What has an airspeed of 100 knots?
Yeah, that's right now.
Okay.
If you look to the right, it has the miles per hour.
Thank you.
Yes, it's not this 136. And that will be the,
Southwest 136 right there, or, I'm sorry.
what is 136 right here, and then there's the sun pass.
Okay.
That will be on I-6.
Indicate which road on this would be that direction. for me, when it gets to, I believe, 16 minutes, we'll pause it and switch to the other view.
Let me just pass Sheridan Street. That's fine.
Second, ready, what is the exit just before Miramar Parkway?
Pine Boulevard.
Okay, and that is at 15:07, and we're stopping it at 15.
I'm sorry, can't hear you. What?
Sorry, I'm gonna let it continue on until 15:30. Now publishing states 94. Travis, I'm gonna ask the other light as well, please.
Is that exhibit 94 or 95?
94.
94. Thank you.
Ready, if you guys explain where this video picks up.
We are right now on the off ramp to enter onto Miramar Parkway from I-75. We are now on Miramar Parkway, heading west, approaching Southwest 160th Avenue, which is also known as the Dykes Road.
And to the right of the screen, what direction is that cardinal direction?
To the right of the screen, that would be we're traveling west now, so to the right would be the north.
Okay. And if you could, when you get to the Pollo Tropical, if you could identify that.
We just, Chili's just passed there. They come out to a target. That was the entrance to Regional Park, which is on the right side. We're still heading west. So there's the Folio Tropical right there. Gas station. We should be coming up to Southwest 172nd Avenue, which is a McDonald's.
North on Southwest 172nd Avenue, what is located at Southwest 172nd Avenue, Pembroke Road?
That would be the hospital, Memorial Hospital.
And if you indicate again when you get to 184th, which was the end of the walking, I believe you testified to by the officer Mark.
Yes. This is 178, which is Silver Lakes, Southwest 178 Avenue. The next light you see, the green lights, is going to be Southwest 184th Avenue.
To get to the entrance at 40th Street for Sunset Lakes, the guard gate, which way would you turn at 184th?
You make a left, and you would head south on 184th.
You turn right on 184th.
You head north into Pembroke Pines.
On Miramar Parkway, does it connect through to US 27?
No. This is 184th right here. You're turning right, which is heading north.
During the time of this video, are you operating the vehicle?
I am driving, and Miss Carroll is recording in the passenger seat.
Are you observing posted speed limits?
Yes.
Are you purposely driving slower than the speed limit?
I'm driving exactly. I'm driving exactly at the speed limit. We're coming up to Pembroke Road.
Does Pembroke Road connect through if you turn left there to US 27?
No. The red lights we're approaching is Hines Boulevard.
Does Pines Boulevard connect to US 27?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the next road? Let me rephrase. Is there another road in Broward County south of Pines Boulevard to 27?
No, ma'am. We now turn left, which is heading west on Pines Boulevard.
And when the Montessori Academy is on the left, because the
Correct.
line just indicated.
This would be the Montessori school.
Okay.
We're coming to US 27. We will make a left heading south. coming up Pembroke Road.
Very traffic light at Pembroke Road.
Left-hand turn, which will be east on Pembroke Road. And then this is Pembroke Road.
Approximately what time of the morning is this that you're doing this video at right now?
We're here approximately at around 4 a.m.
How many times have you been out to this location before you did this drive?
Several times.
What vehicle just passed you?
That is a waste management vehicle going out to the dump. We'll turn it around. That was the approximate.
As we turn here on 27, you're allowed to submit this to the logical place to break.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, turn on the lights, please. Thank you. Our ladies and gentlemen, it's a little after 5, so my colleagues will break through today. Remember the mission. Research, just leave your notepads on your chairs and see everybody back tomorrow at 9. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Let the record reflect the jury stepped out. Counsel remain along with the defendant. Witness remains on stand. Anything for this witness tonight?
No, Detective Melly, I cannot contact you or speak to you in any way. If there's any emergency, please contact you in my office or the physical state.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
We haven't issued yet, we'd like to discuss outside the presence of this witness.
Sure. You step back, sir. Come on, 9 a.m. All right, the witness. All right, the witness stepped out. Counsel, what do you want to discuss?
We need the assistance of the state to bring back Special Agent Collins when the state rests. We never anticipated that this witness would be qualified, able to testify to the ordinance or any of that, which is contra to everything that the FBI agent testified to in his deposition and what have you. And there's additional items to go through. In order for us to subpoena him, we have to go through the Justice Department, as the court probably knows, because we're defense attorneys and they're not that quick to respond to us, and we have to
fill out paperwork and get permission. Since the state has called him, we would ask the state's assistance to get him in when and if we put on a case.
And my understanding is, especially Agent Collins was on a TDY, that was the information he was given.
What?
A TDY, which is another some sort of training deployment, and will be out of the country for the entire month of July. That's why I had to rush to call him so early in the case. He told me to push back, delayed, for the start date, so he would be available last week if I needed to put him back as far as that, I think, but I don't believe he's in the country.
You can just verify whatever it is and then, speak to.
I
I'm
will
sorry,
say,
yes, sir?
I said, if they would assist us and let us know if he's available, fine. If not,
I'm not available by Zoom.
So can you do that, check into that?
so I would say, emailed him on a different issue, and he has not responded. So I don't believe he has access to his email. That's the only way I can get contact him. So I'm happy to try and assist on that, but the defense still has to do the proper procedures before you be able to testify.
But you're gonna make some inquiries, and you'll speak to, Councilman Edelstein and his, cohorts.
In terms of the defense doing the proper procedures, Your Honor, that is a procedure that takes several weeks, if not months. So that's not feasible. That's why we're asking for the state's assistance in bringing it back. So because the hoops we have to jump through would happen here in September.
Thank you.
A one-page letter that has to be written on.
I don't know what it is, Council, but you said you're gonna make inquiry, and that's what I'm asking you to do, to contact them, and we'll, once we find out where it's located, what is the next order of business, so to speak. So, how much more do you have of this witness, Counsel?
A lot.
So are you gonna be on direct for the rest of the day tomorrow?
I think we might start, cross, perhaps. There's, a lot of messaging and phone data to go through and publish.
So you're gonna be most of the day tomorrow, you think?
I
On
think
your
so.
direct? And you have a substantial amount to go over on cross?
I would think so at this point. If they're gonna take most of the day, I would ask, we not start crossing.
And, we'll just see what time of the break, what time it is. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but.
No, I understand, but
On, after Detective Moretti, stay and call any other witnesses.
Not at this time,
So-
the other, there's something that might change.
Understood, so right now it's Monday, so tomorrow's Tuesday, you're gonna be most of the day Tuesday, council thinks, if he gets to him, tomorrow or not, he'll take at least half a day Wednesday, is that about right, Mr. Edelstein?
yes, sir.
So, assuming you don't call any more witnesses, state would be resting, then you'd be prepared to bring some witnesses in, either Wednesday afternoon or Thursday, depending on how it goes. Is that right, Mr. Edelstein?
I have to confer with co-counsel. I can't answer that right at this moment.
I'm just trying to get
No,
an idea, so you're prepared to go ahead. That's the way it sounds like to me. Am I correct, Ms. Bradley?
Yes, Ryan?
All right, so we're talking about sometime, this week you'd be calling witnesses.
There's the only issue on that is we had the deposition, the first part of the deposition of the defense's witness, Larry Daniel, was done on last week. Then we had agreed and came before your honor on Friday morning to bifurcate that deposition, and we agreed to do it on Saturday. I then drew a court reporter for 5 p.m. on Saturday at the request, and Catherine Ms. Liberty had acknowledged she would produce the witness at 5 o'clock. However, then at 4:57, I got an email from Mr. Howard indicating that they were no longer going to be having their expert and producing their expert. So I'm going to have to need some sort of court intervention to make sure that that deposition happens in a timely fashion.
Mayor, Mr. Judge.
Before somebody responds, are you still intending on calling Mr. Daniel?
We do intend call Mr. Daniel. We do not intend to call Mr. Daniel to address the subject matter for which the state wants to further depose him. It's outside the scope of what he's being called for. And so we're not making him available for them to put him to task to review what the state would have him review that's unrelated to the testimony in its entirety. So remember.
I don't understand. I thought he was an expert originally in self-right. Then he was switched over to Fitbit or something along these lines.
To pedometer versus cell. What the state is asking him to, the witness to do, is to go and review some Cellbrite information and cell tower information so that the state can inquire of him on that subject, not regarding the pedometer test. And so we're not making him available for the state to go exploring and putting him to task. These things on our dime.
So he's going to testify as an expert regarding Fitbit.
If he testifies at all, that would be the pedometer. That would be the scope of his testimony.
Have you deposed?
No, Your Honor. That was what the expert said he needed, the data from Celebrate to look at the activity data because the information that was sent to him, Liberty, was corrupted. So then I helped out and sent him a brand new copy of the cell phone download so that he could review it. I am still trying to ask him questions specifically on the activity and location data that is found in the phone. And from most of the answers to the questions were things to the effect of, well, don't quote me on that, I have to check my notes. He was doing it from the side of the road in a car, so he has to go back and check his notes. He also, they have not yet provided me the screenshots that he mentioned in the first part of the depo that he had said he had received. I'm just asking to have the information and be able to have the witness answer questions after he's reviewed everything. Because it's the state's deposition of the defense witness. And a deposition is wide latitude in the areas that you can cover, questions that you can ask. On that, the state wants to make sure we are prepared in whatever area he is trying to answer questions, and if we need to file it out. So the state needs to complete the deposition, and we were prepared and ready to do so on Saturday before it was canceled, 3 minutes before it was set to start.
She's not actually forthcoming, Judge. She had asked to do it on Sunday. Mr. Daniel said he was not going to work on the Sabbath. This was something that he teaches on Friday. We explained to the state he teaches. He was actually traveling. I was trying to get this done so he could be in his house and do the notes. I offered him up Tuesday or Wednesday evening. I know Mr. Howard Joe has filed a motion on pedometers. I don't know if we need to argue that motion before we even determine, because if he's successful on his motion, I don't think we need to have the deposition. So I would ask that we have time to argue this motion maybe tomorrow morning.
So with regards to that, I would be prepared to argue the motion until I finish fleshing out their expert opinion on that. So I need to have to do everything in order.
That's not so. The basis of my motion is authentication concerning the state's introduction of the evidence and what is required in order for them to introduce evidence in the first instance. Our witness would be there to rebut the evidence that is being presented by the state. And so inquiry of the expert, of the defense expert, does not address or even implicate the question of whether or not the state has satisfactorily laid a foundation on authentication for admission of the evidence in the first instance. So Ms. Liberty is correct to the extent that we could obviate the need for any depositions if the court reviews the motion and rules favorably in defense position.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, sir.
So let's do this. Take everything one at a time. Counsel's asked to take the deposition of your expert. She hasn't deposed the expert yet, is the way I understand it. So let's get the deposition done. I don't know where you would intend to call that witness, but you make them available. Work it out. What's good for you, Madam State?
Judge, I could do potentially Wednesday after court.
Is that good for you?
That's
Can you
fine.
check with your witness?
That's one of the dates I offered her originally, Judge, yes.
So that's good. Set it for Wednesday after, all right? And then you take a look at your thing. I haven't seen the motion yet. The motion was filed. It's,
It was filed at a late hour last night, but
haven't seen it. So,
hope you enjoy it.
pardon me?
I hope you enjoy it.
I have no problem taking a look at it. You don't have a hard copy there, do you?
I actually do. Okay.
Just for the timing it was filed, so I can check my email, you said late hour.
Around before 11 p.m., I want to say 10:26.
There's a problem sometimes where they don't, the clerk's office, even though it's filed, it doesn't show up on the clerk's system right away. I don't know why or what it is, but
There's a delay. I've been
There's some
seeing it on a
delay.
lot of my cases, so.
I'm asleep at that hour. I'm an old man, Judge. So I would know,
This is,
even if it was filed.
why are you telling us something we already know?
Which is, yes.
Because I gotta get some levity in this courtroom somehow.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
I think it's the mere fact that filing shows such deficiencies in technology even in 2023 kind of goes to the heart of the motion. So,
All right, well, anything else to talk about?
no, sir.
I just want you to be aware today, when I did make the objection, we did not have the full transcript of Brandon Collins, and I don't want you to be annoyed if I bring it up again tomorrow, once I get the cross-examination, just if I.
No problem.
Have a lovely
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Please be seated. We are back on the record in State versus Turney. Let the record show the presence of counsel, the defendant, and the jury. Mr. Jackson, you may resume. Thank you. Right before the break there, we had some, I was able to play you during the break. Asked about, did that refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
That was Detective Anderson in January of 2009.
I believe it was Summer Shoe, but yes.
Summer Shoe, okay. And you told him that he was violent with her.
Yes.
He would grab her violently
Yeah, by the wrist, I believe is what I said.
and she pulled away.
Yes.
She looked embarrassed.
Yes.
You were concerned because she had bruises at some point, another on her body somewhere.
I believe it was the hand incident I was referring to earlier. And then yes, in that recording, I said that she had a bruise on her face.
And that concerned you.
Of course.
Correct?
Yeah, I did not remember that.
Now, I want to ask you 2008 interview. You were aware that Alyssa had threatened to call CPS on your dad if he didn't allow her to do certain things, correct?
I was aware of CPS, or I was told that.
You told Detective Anderson that you had overheard those things.
I'd overheard conversations, yeah.
You knew that she wanted to get tattoos?
Yeah.
Tongue piercings?
Yes.
She thought you and your dad were boring?
I believe she'd said that before.
And your dad wouldn't let her get tongue piercings or tattoos until she turned 18, correct?
Correct.
Now, I want to ask you a question about a pretrial interview. Were you asked to do a pretrial interview in this case?
With the state?
With the defense. We requested to do an interview with you.
Oh, yes.
And you turned us down, correct?
Correct.
Now,